So sitting nice and tall, we'll just let the attention come to the breathing, and we won't try and change it or control it just for a moment. So just notice what it's doing, and then see if you can bring the breath to be just passing in and out through the nostrils. And we'll see if we can allow the breath to lengthen a little bit. See if you can get the inhales and the exhales to be the same length. Maybe a slow count of 3 for each inhale and each exhale. If you want to add a light ujjayi breath, you could do that by narrowing the passageway there at the throat a little bit. So we're just going to move into our breathing exercise. So we'll just count the next 4 inhales and exhales. Perhaps saying the number to yourself as you exhale. And then for the following 4 breaths, we're going to breathe in and then hold that breath in for 3 seconds. So 4 of those. Following 4 breaths, we will go back to inhaling and exhaling without any holding of the breath, but do allow the little natural pauses between the inhales and the exhales. For the following 4 breaths, we'll hold after the exhale. So we breathe in slowly, we breathe out slowly, and then we hold for 3 seconds. So 4 of those. Good, we'll go back to inhaling and exhaling for the next 4. And then we'll take 4 breaths where we hold after the inhales and the exhales. So 3 seconds of holding after the inhale and after the exhale, and 4 of those. And when you've done those 4, just returning to a nice slow inhale and exhale, allowing the ujjayi breath to whisper at the throat. And remembering that we want to keep this level of focus on the breath as we move through the rest of our practice. So let's come to standing to get ready for the sun salutation. So with the inhale, let's raise the hands, stretching up high, and exhale, bow forwards, find the hamstring stretch. Inhale, lift and lengthen through the spine, and exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog with nice low shoulders, and exhale, downward facing dog. So just step the feet to where they want to be. If the heels are flat on the floor, you might walk them back for a slightly longer stance. If they're a long way from the floor, you could walk them in a little bit. We want that nice placement of the hands with the fingers spread wide, nice long neck, long spine, and tummy pulled in, Uddiyana Bandha. We spend 5 breaths in downward facing dog. So with your next inhale, just step or jump the feet to the hands, lengthening the spine, and exhale, fold. Inhale, come up, stretch the hands high and look up, and exhale to standing. Good. Next one. Inhale, raise the hands, reach. Exhale, forward fold, stretching through the hamstrings. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, and exhale, step or jump to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, scoop forward for upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Again, adjusting the length of the stance accordingly. If you feel like the back is rounded and the hamstrings are a little bit tight, try bending the knees, and that should just free up a little bit of space so that the back can lengthen, which should just feel a whole lot better. We want to slide the shoulders back away from the ears, so make the opposite of a shrug. And also check that your elbows aren't bending in the wrong way. After 5 breaths, inhale, feet to hands, lengthen the spine, and exhale, fold. Inhale, come up, stretch high, and exhale to standing. Good. Next one then. Inhale, raise the hands, reach up high, maybe even a back bend. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, lift and lengthen through the spine, and exhale, step or jump to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, we come forwards for upward facing dog, and exhale to downward facing dog. And here we have the option of raising the right leg into the air and spreading the toes. So doing this just tips a little bit more weight into the arms and the shoulders, and you might feel that depending how long you've been doing this practice or what other arms and upper body strength work you do. Keep the tummy pulled in, slow, steady breathing. And remember, we're trying to stay as focused on the breath as we were in that breathing exercise at the start. With the next inhale, feet to hands, lengthen the spine, and exhale, fold. Inhale, draw yourself up, maybe a back bend, and exhale to standing. Good. Inhale, raise the hands. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen out that spine, and exhale, place the hands, shift the weight onto them so you can hop back. Inhale, scoop forwards with low shoulders for the upward facing dog, and exhale for the downward facing. Then we can extend the left leg and lift it high, spreading the toes. Pull the tummy in to support the spine. Push the hands into the floor. Slow, steady breathing. Really keeping that focus as much as you can. Good. Inhale, feet to hands, halfway up, long back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up, stretch up high, and exhale to standing. Good. Last one of these. Inhale, raise the hands. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. So count 5 breaths here. And really try and stay very present. So you're just noticing the physical sensations of the body and of the breath. Try not to get carried away into thoughts or criticisms. We're just enjoying the physical sensations of the practice. And then inhale, feet to hands. When you're done with those 5 breaths, exhale, fold. Inhale, come up, stretch high, and exhale to standing. Good. Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, sweep the mat, coming to chair pose, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen out the spine, and exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale. exhale, downward facing dog. Then inhale, step the right foot forward, place the left heel and reach up. Exhale, hands down, foot back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, right foot flat, warrior. And exhale, back to Chaturanga Dandasana. Keep those elbows in close to the sides of the body. Inhale for that back bend, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Again, count your 5 breaths here with as much attention as you had when you were counting the breathing exercise at the start. Milo's looking pretty regal here. He was enjoying the sun. Inhale, feet to hands then, lengthen the spine, and exhale, fold, bend the knee. Inhale, lift up the hands, and exhale, straighten. Good, next one. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out the spine, and exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the right foot forward, plant that left heel and reach up as you lunge down. Exhale, back to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Then inhale, left foot forward, right foot flat, warrior. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog, 5 breaths. With the next inhale, step or hop the feet to the hands, lengthen the spine, and exhale, fold deeply. Then bend your knees. Inhale, lift the hands into chair pose, and exhale, straighten to mountain pose. Third one, inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the spine, and exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, left foot flat, warrior. And exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, lowering the body in a straight line. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, right foot flat, warrior. And exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. And then we can raise that right leg, bend the knee, drop the foot over, and allow that right hip to sort of turn up towards the sky. Left hip tucks underneath. So a little bit of a twist through the spine here. Slow, steady breathing. And then inhale, feet to hands, halfway up, long back, and exhale, fold. Bend the knees. Inhale, lift the hands, and exhale, straighten up. Great, fourth one then. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, long, long spine, and exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, left foot flat, warrior. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. As you inhale, upward facing dog, and as you exhale, downward facing dog. Then we'll step that left foot forward to come into our warrior A, and exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale to downward facing dog. And then we can inhale and raise that left leg, bend the knee, drop the foot over, lengthen. So try and draw the pelvis and the rib cage apart so the waist is nice and long. You might get a stretch through the abdominal muscles if you do that. And then inhale, feet to hands, lengthen out the spine, and exhale, fold. Bend the knee. Inhale, lift up the hands, and exhale, straighten. Brilliant. Just one more then. Inhale, chair pose, and exhale into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, and exhale, stepping or jumping to your Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, left foot flat, warrior, and exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Big step with the left foot forward, right foot flat, warrior, and exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Keep the shoulders low away from the ears, and exhale to your downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Stretch out the spine to its full length, and make sure the neck is included in that. So don't be flinging the head back or tucking the chin excessively down into the chest. Just think about that straight line all the way from the back of the head right along the neck and the spine to the tailbone. Inhale, feet to hands, halfway up, long back, and exhale, fold. Bend the knees, inhale, lift the hands, and exhale, straighten it. Well done. So let's come to a standing forward bend. We can stretch up high and then just find that hamstring stretch wherever you have to go to get it. If you're quite flexible, you might hold onto the toes and maybe even pull a little bit to feel the stretch you want to feel. And slow, steady breathing here. And then for the second one of these, we're just going to have a go at sliding the hands underneath the feet. And again, coming down for 5 breaths. So you might need to bend your knees a little bit more for that one to get lower. I'm really trying to thread the hands all the way under. So you could stay there, or if you've been playing with Bird of Paradise, then you could thread that left arm through, catch the fingers behind the back and see if you can stand up into a balance. Perhaps straightening that leg a little bit. And then have a go on the other side. Sending that right arm through under the right leg and just seeing if you can carefully make your way up to a standing position, and then perhaps extending that leg if you want to. This is just an option. Staying in standing forward bend is also a great option. So wherever you are, just take a little wiggle and then we can carefully roll ourselves up to standing. And then we're going to make our way into a tree pose or perhaps a half lotus with the weight on the right leg. So we're just drawing that foot up. So if you're going for tree pose, you could bring the hands to the center of the chest or you could reach them up. But if you're going for half lotus, you're just going to bring that heel across to the hip bone of that standing leg, lengthen the body, and see if you can bring those hands down either to the floor or to a block or anything else that you might grab, just to bring a little bit of height under the hands. So wherever you are, slow, steady breathing. And then in your own time, just very carefully make your way out and then take either that tree pose or that half lotus on the other side. So take plenty of time to find your balance, to explore your way in. If you're taking the half lotus, really try and lengthen that body, draw the rib cage out away from the hip bones, see if you can swallow the foot into the tummy if you're folding forwards. Or you could just stay standing here like I am. This right hip not quite as open as my left, so there's another option. Extending the hand high and then making your way out. Okay, we're going to make our way into a reverse namaste. So see if you can find a prayer pose behind the back, and then we're going to step forward with the right foot and back with the left. Inhale, lift the chest, and exhale. Try and hold the back out nice and straight as you explore, tipping the pelvis over to find a standing forward bend here. So don't necessarily just try and get as low as you can around the back. Try and keep that back nice and straight. So you might have a horizontal spine, or you might even be a little bit higher up than that. No problem. So bringing the hands down to the floor, we're just going to lean the weight onto the right leg and let the left leg float up into the air, a kind of standing split. If you want to, you could bring one hand or even two hands onto the ankle of the standing leg. That makes the balance a lot harder. And then from here we can begin to open into a half moon standing balance. And if you want to take a variation, then bend that top leg, take a hold of the big toe, and then you can just gently kick that foot into the hand, which really opens at the hip and the shoulder. It feels really delicious. I love that one. From here we can move into the revolving version. So just bringing the left hand down and opening the body to the right as you reach the right hand high. Keep that lifted leg, don't let it fall down. And then we can float our way up to standing. Okay, so we'll find our reverse namaste, standing forward bend with the left foot forward and the right foot back. So inhale to lift the chest and exhale to come forward with that nice straight spine. Slow, steady breathing, pull that tummy in, lengthen everything. Then after that fifth breath, we can bring the hands down, shift the weight forward over the left foot so the right leg can begin to lift up a little bit. And then with the left hand on the floor, we can start to turn the body to the side, reaching the right hand high. Variation, bending that right leg, catching hold of the big toe. And then revolving half moon, the right hand comes down, the left hand comes up, turning us into a little twist. So facing out to that side, but keep the lifted leg coming up. Good stuff. So let's make our way down. We can come to a downward facing dog. And then we'll lower those knees to child's pose. So just taking a little rest here because we've got our plank challenge coming up. 7 breaths. So I'll just leave you to count this in your own time. We're going to spend 7 breaths with the left hand or left elbow down, then 7 breaths in middle plank, two-handed plank, body in a long straight line, and then 7 breaths with the right hand down. And then we'll come back and take a little rest in child's pose. And then we can just come through to a cobbler's pose with the soles of the feet together and the knees falling out wide. Or if you want to, you can come into a half lotus by lifting one foot up onto the hip bone of the other leg. Or you might make a gentler version of cobbler's pose by sliding both feet out away from you with the soles of the feet touching. So a few options, just make sure you find the one that's right for you. Sitting up nice and tall, slow, steady breathing. So I'm just drawing my shoulders back here, squeezing the shoulder blades in towards one another. So if you did take the asymmetric pose, the half lotus, just swap at this point, bringing the other foot up. If you're in cobbler's pose, either of those variations, just stay where you are, keep breathing. Okay, good stuff. So we're going to move into half pigeon here. So we've got this left leg folded underneath us, and we're trying to have the left buttock sort of on the ground and the top of the thigh, and that right leg is extended straight out behind us. And then we're trying to lie down as if we were just lying really flat on our tummy. So we're trying to drop that right hip down. So we've just got that leg folded underneath us, and that should bring a sensation of stretch around the left hip. Now, if it's not available to you to lie down, you could be up on the elbows or up on the hands. So carefully making your way up. If you want to bring a little bit more work into this posture, you could have a go at drawing that back foot in a little bit towards the bottom. So you might find a bit more of a stretch over the hip flexor and into the front of the thigh there of that right leg. So let's just make our way into this pose on the other side, which we can do via a downward facing dog, and then step the right foot forward. So we want the right knee by the right hand and the foot kind of back by the left hip, extending the left leg back. Now, if you're very open in the hips, you might be able to wiggle that foot a little further forward so the shin is kind of lined up with the front edge of your mat. And again, we're trying to lie flat, or you might be up on the elbows or straight arms. Just see what's working for you. This is quite an intense posture. You can see here that I am sitting on the floor with the right seat there. So if you feel like you're rolling away, you just need to try and drop to the ground there. If you want to move into this variation, you can just draw that back foot in a little bit, turning into a twist. And then we can wiggle our way out into a downward facing dog. Okay, so we'll have a little play with some arm balances here. I'm just going to show you a range of crow pose options. So this is the one that we've worked on the most, with the knees tucked up into the armpits or maybe squeezed around the elbows and leaning the weight forward. But we also have the opportunity to try the side crow version. Do feel free to stretch the wrists at any time. So that's with the knees touching together in a little squat. We walk the hands around to the side. One elbow pokes into the fold of the knee and the other into the top of the thigh, and then we lean out. Now, if you want to take the extended leg version, that top leg wants to extend in the same line as the body, and the bottom leg points out at a right angle. It's quite hard to work out which way the legs go, but actually it only works one way. If you do it the wrong way, the leg falls off the arm and you end up on the floor. So have a go both sides. If you are trying this side crow, you need to lean in, holding the body into tuck shape, and then you can extend the legs once you're in if you want to, and try and draw the body out nice and long and straight. Another option is baby crow, which is quite a funny one. We put the forearms on the floor and then try and tuck those knees up into the armpits again and lean forward. This is less scary because your nose is literally only about a centimetre away from the floor. It does just look like your face is on the floor, but it isn't. It's just really close. And then the one that I'm still working on is one-legged crow. There's lots of ways to get into this if you look on YouTube, but the way I prefer is to raise the leg up and then curl it into the body. And with the knee very bent, place it onto the back of the elbow and then lean forward, find the balance and see if you can float the other leg. I can still only do it on one side, so you don't get a demo on both sides, I'm afraid, for this one. Okay, so whatever you did, just take a little rest in child's pose before we come to our bound squatting twist. So we had a look at this last time. It's a posture from Ashtanga's secondary series. And it doesn't look hard, but it kind of is. So we just want to come into a squatting position on the toes, so the heels and the knees are pressing together, and you're just trying to send your left arm around that left knee and catch the hands together. Now, if you're very flexible, you might even be able to send that left arm around both knees together and still find the bind, but that's not available to me right now. So other side, I'm sending my right arm around that knee, coming to the back of the waist and then catching the fingers and just turning out into that twist. So my feet are staying together. Good stuff. Let's take a little rest in child's pose for a few breaths. And then we're going to have a go at some Chaturanga push-ups. So that's just moving from plank to Chaturanga Dandasana. Fairly ferocious in terms of strength, but really worth doing. So stepping back into your plank pose, but then when your exhale comes, you're lowering to Chaturanga Dandasana and inhale, pushing back up to plank. So see how many you can do. And if you can't do 5 yet, see if you can work up to doing 5 over the coming weeks. Good work. So we'll just make our way out. And then we'll come to back bends. So pressing the feet into the floor, try not to let the toes turn out. We're just lifting the hips. And just see how much you want to do here. You might have the hands on the floor or you might bring them under the rib cage. So we're going to do 3 of these back bends for 5 breaths each. So if you want to, you could do 3 different ones. You could start gentle and move up. If you have a full wheel, you could perhaps do that on the 3rd one. I'm not demonstrating wheel in this video. I'm taking 3 similar intensity back bends here. Keeping the feet nice and firm into the floor so the legs are working nice and hard. We can hug the knees into the chest and lift the chin up to the knees so we round the back the other way in between each one. And here comes the 3rd back bend. Slow, steady breathing. Give those knees a hug in again. And then we can make our way into a headstand or a headstand preparation. So holding on to the elbows just to make the measure and then clasping the hands behind the head, pressing the elbows into the floor. We're just walking the feet in. And there's no need to lift the feet away from the floor until you've built up enough strength in the arms and the shoulders to feel like you can float those legs up. But I'm going to show you another version of headstand. So some people practice yoga for quite a long time and just can't get this one. And it might be something to do with lengths of limbs and backs and things. So there is a second, well, there's quite a few different headstands actually, but another way of getting into a headstand is instead of having this clasp behind the head and taking the weight on the forearms, we can put the hands flat on the floor and we make a kind of triangle shape between those two hands and the tops of the head. And because the elbows are bent and the forearms are kind of pointing up to the sky, it does offer us the possibility of climbing up onto the backs of the arms with the knees, which gets us upside down and sort of a little closer towards the headstand position. So I'm just going to demonstrate that now. So you can see my hands are back from where my head is, so there's a triangle between those 3 points of contact, and I can shift the weight forwards and just pop my knees onto the backs of my arms there. Now the hard bit then is to lift the knees up off the backs of the arms, and this posture always feels way less stable to me. I'm not really wanting to go all the way up in that posture, but I know that some people find that a much preferable option, so give it a try. So let's make our way after our inversion into Shavasana. So just getting nice and comfy, snuggling down into the mat, letting the breath soften. It might feel nice to tuck the shoulder blades underneath you and let the feet fall out away from the midline and have the arms away from the sides of the body. But if it's nicer for you for the lower back, by all means place the feet flat on the floor and have the knees bent up. You can really tuck the lower back underneath you and snuggle it into the mat in that position. And then we'll just spend these last few moments of our practice working hard on our mindfulness and being present. So with the challenging postures taken away, the mind has a little bit more freedom. So we might need to exercise a little bit more discipline in not getting tangled up in those thoughts. So you might return to your breathing exercise that we did at the beginning, counting the breaths in groups of 4 and then pausing after the inhales, then inhaling and exhaling, then pausing after the exhales, then inhaling and exhaling, and then pausing after both. Or you might choose just to focus on the breathing or on the physical sensations of the body. Other anchors might be sound, noticing how sounds come and go, how they might be composed of a number of different sounds, how they might be nearby or far away. So whichever anchor you choose, just using this precious time, these last few moments, to use that concentration, that focus, and enjoying the stillness.